last year, every minute, there were 150 biryanis sold on Zomato. Every minute. And there were another 180 biryanis sold on Swiggy. Every minute. Pan-India. That's how huge the biryani market is. And if you look at the online delivery space, it comes around 1,250 crore market. In Bangalore alone, every single month, there are around 200 new biryani joints which open up. That's Bangalore alone. And believe me or not, it's not any less even in Chennai.
What advice would you give aspiring entrepreneurs, particularly women who want to start a business in the food industry?
Okay, to talk about advice, and a year since then, like how the weekend, we caught the eyes of Weekend Leader, they featured
Yeah, I think I can speak for everybody in the auditorium that we're all quite envious of you that you can eat biryani anytime you want. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, who is to judge? It's part of business analysis, right? Like Mr. Selvam said, people die for biryani. People live and die for biryani. When we're happy, we eat biryani. When we're sad, we eat biryani. So I think a lot of us are very keen to understand and see how somebody's life is when your work life is around biryani. But of course, it's serious business for you. So to start off with, could you give us an idea about what the statistics are of biryani consumption in India? Do you have any insights? It would come through with the demands that come from Swiggy or Zomato. Could you take us through how consumption of biryani looks like in India?
So you asked about data. So a quick insight is last year, every minute, there were 150 biryanis sold on Zomato. Every minute. And there were another 180 biryanis sold on Swiggy. Every minute. Pan-India. That's how huge the biryani market is. And if you look at the online delivery space, it comes around 1,250 crore market, which only accounts to 25% of the entire market. But when you look at the overall picture of the organized market, it is 5,000 crores. And that also accounts to only 25%. So if you look at the overall potential of biryani, you're looking anywhere around 20,000 crores is the market size of the biryani. But having said that, in fact, when I just happened to meet the head of Swiggy, he was saying that when we thought the biryani market was so saturated, R&R proved us wrong. Because in Bangalore alone, every single month, there are around 200 new biryani joints which open up. That's Bangalore alone. And believe me or not, it's not any less even in Chennai. So that's how saturated and competitive even the market is.
Yeah, given the saturation in the market and given the fact that historically every state has had their own variety of biryani, every community has had that. So how would you say your brand of biryani stands out amongst these varieties across India?
So essentially we popularize in Karnataka style of cuisine. And one of the main co-products, of course, which stands out is the Donne Biryani. Donne essentially means the palm leaf is called Donne because essentially, over time it was served in a pouch of palm leaf. The different factor of Donne Biryani is it's made out of Sirge Sambar rice, which we call as the Jeera Sambar rice. So it has a very strong green appearance to it that essentially comes out because of the greens they use, which is coriander and pudina. That's what predominantly dominates in the biryani. And above all, what is very different about this biryani is the fact that the rice doesn't have its own characteristic. So when it goes within the entire essence of masala, every grain of rice literally absorbs the masala, right? So that's as against a basmati rice, which is actually very flavorful just by itself. So that's the major differentiation factor of Donne Biryani.
I think you made the audience just a little more hungry than they already were. What advice would you give aspiring entrepreneurs, particularly women who want to start a business in the food industry?
Okay, to talk about advice, what motivated us to start R&R was the fact that there was a huge market gap in an organized biryani brand. And there were innumerable number of players, but there was no brand per se, which delivers Donne Biryani. And so my first advice would be is to find a market gap and ensure you do your good research when it comes to your demand and supply and then blast out to it. That's exactly what we did. And second is we started during the worst of times. Is that an advice? We actually started during COVID, which was the worst of times. In fact, one fine day when I was just scrolling through Swiggy during COVID, and when I wanted to order biryani, and of course, me being a Bangalore girl, I wanted to order Donne Biryani. And I couldn't even find one place where we could be very sure, okay, the food is coming, is prepared in the most hygiene manner. It's prepared in a safe and a hygienic environment because all of us were so concerned during COVID, all the more than any of the times. So that was when we decided that maybe this is the right time to test our brand. So that's when we plunged in and started our first kitchen during the peak of COVID. And it turned out to be the right time for us at that point of time because in just less than a month, we achieved 10,000 orders. And a year since then, like how the weekend, we caught the eyes of Weekend Leader. They featured our story of the kind of numbers we achieved. But the second part of it is we are 5 times more now than the number what Weekend Leader has featured. So that's the, the growth and the momentum we have seen. And I think it goes back, for the fact that we started during COVID, so that made a huge difference for us, the fact that we started during COVID. And all in all, business by itself is a risk every day. You might slip and fall, or you will slip and fall every day. There are hundreds of hiccups you face, but it's important to just keep going and look at the end goal, and that's what we have done.
And also, starting during COVID, obviously, there was not much of a physical presence you could have. So I think in your initial days, you had roped in celebrities to sort of talk about your brand. So how did you rope them in? What did your social media strategy look like at that point? And how important do you think is this kind of collaboration? Because we are in the digital age. And I think a lot of them would be interested to know if this is something that's cost effective or it actually costs them more.